We've been discussing different types of research methods. So, just to recap, what are the three research designs? They are exploratory, descriptive, and causal. All right, which one of those research designs is used to gain background information, define terms, clarify problems and hypotheses, and establish a research priority? So, we would use it to help us in that creation of that research problem, and it is used to explore. So the research design is exploratory. So we're using exploratory when we don't have the answers already. We want to see what the options are out there. So we might use secondary data analysis where other people have collected the data or where we collected the data previously for a different purpose. We might use focus groups to help generate ideas. Remember, focus groups are about 8 to 12 people. Together in a room, we have a discussion guide that goes through different key questions, and we have a moderator who helps stimulate that conversation. We talked about observational research, and observational research does span a bit in terms of not just exploratory, but also can be used for more descriptive. And in observational research, what we're doing is observing behaviors. And so we have a number of videos about designing some observational research. We also talked, as we talked about exploratory design, we talked about interviews. And now we're going to move into our descriptive research design. And with our descriptive research design, we typically think of surveys. Now, surveys can be cross-sectional, that is a one-time survey, or it can be a longitudinal study where we survey people, the same people, multiple times. And as we get into our section on statistics, we will look at different statistical methods depending on if you are comparing the same people, typically in longitudinal studies over time, or whether you are comparing groups of people and from the results of, say, a cross-sectional survey. Do different groups of people feel different ways? So when we're looking at descriptive design, we are looking at describing and measuring, and if we're talking about in the context of marketing research, it would be marketing phenomenon, but it doesn't have to be in terms of marketing research. This is in research in general. We're describing and measuring some kind of phenomenon. So who are these individuals? What is it about them? When do they do things? Where are they located? How do they think about things? So we are describing what is happening. And we can describe as what is happening at one time, cross-sectional, or it can be longitudinal. So we can measure multiple things over time. And the last one we're going to get to is causal, where we determine if there's causality. So if something happens, then something else happens. So this would be an experiment where we would try, for example, a particular drug or treatment. We would try a certain method for improving efficiency of our organization, improving the growth of plants, improving the number of animals, in a particular area, whatever it is we're focusing on. If we do something, then what happens? And so we'll typically do that in an experiment where we have that treatment for one group, and then the other group would be the control. That is, they are not given the treatment. If we're thinking in terms of drug trials, that control could be a placebo, so they are given nothing. Or it could be that we are comparing a new treatment to a gold standard. So what has been the treatment in the past? So we can see if the new treatment is any better than what the typical treatment is. So experiments look at if we do this thing differently, then what happens? And test markets, we use that in marketing research to say, okay, well, if we have this new product, then will we see more customer, more sales? So it is a type of experiment where we are offering a new product or a new feature to a group of buyers. All right, so we're going to be diving in these next couple of videos to some of the key information we need for descriptive research design. So that is, we are going to be looking at defining our types of scale. So as we start to develop our survey questions, we need to consider how we're going to analyze the results of those survey questions. So there are different types of measurement scales that we use in both causal and descriptive research design. So we need to understand those, and we need to understand then how we can summarize the results of those. That's descriptive statistics, mean, median, mode. And then we'll get into, as we are developing, for example, our survey questions, how do we make sure that how we are measuring things truly get to reliability and validity in our measurement. And then we'll look at attitude scales. Attitude scales get to a particular type of measurement. We want to measure feelings, perceptions, attitudes. And so there are certain specific scales we can use for that. And then we'll talk about how we select a particular scale. So we're going to start first with the basics in measurement scales.